Alright, so what is going on? We are doing our trading recap for the day of Tuesday, and we ended up taking the trade on NASDAQ. And I think we made $770 off that, which is actually not a lot in my opinion, because we should have made more, but we ended up taking I think we took partials at like some random ass TPs. But anyways, let me just explain the trade to you guys so you guys have a better understanding. So what I always start with is usually the 4 hour um, as for finding the bias. So I'm gonna delete this because it is kind of messy right now. I do have some other stuff on there, but yeah, this is Tuesday. So Tuesday we ended up we were bullish. I mean, we're not bullish. We were bearish because we broke a structure right over here. And then as you see the other candles, we never end up breaking structure above again. Because this would have been the structure that we would have to break in order for us to continue to be, I mean, not continue, but like to become bullish, we would have to break this high right over here, which we tap into, but we never end up closing above. So right over here also was a liquidity sweep from this high. On top of that, we had a 4 hour fair value gap that we rejected off. So once we swept this liquidity right at this high, I was looking for shorts. On top of that, we had an hourly fair value gap too. So just adding more confirmations. And this honestly was a high confidence trade, in my opinion, but it took really long. So after that, I'll go to the 1 hour. So I also forgot that we broke a structure to the downside too. So right over here we broke structure to the downside, and then we never break structure to the upside. Again, same thing like the 4 hour, but I'm also explaining it on the 1 hour. So after that, I just scaled down to the 5 minute because 5 minute is always my secondary opinion as we're finding entries. So okay, so right over here, market opened at this candle 6:30 for my time, and then I was looking for a 5 minute breaker structure to the downside, which we get right over here. And then we create a huge like equilibrium here that I drew. This is different because I drew it on the 1 minute, but you could just see within this time frame, we just created a huge down candle. So after this, I was just waiting for a retracement on the 5 minute, which we get at discount right over here. And the thing I love about this is we never break structure to the upside again. So this was actually the high that we were supposed to break, and we never ended up breaking it. So 5 minute we were bearish, and then we also ended up retracing to the discount for the equilibrium. So now this is where you're just trying to find entries on the 1 minute now. So we go to the 1 minute and we look for entries. So this is the equilibrium I drew on the 1 minute. So you guys can see at this point we were at discount the whole time. And for the 1 minute, all I'm just finding is a fair value gap, a breaker structure, and that's pretty much it. So first off, the fair value gap, which we ended up getting right over here. You could see it is a bearish fair value gap. There's no inverse, it's just a bearish fair value gap. So then right over at this point, I just waited. So tap into the bearish fair value gap and then come down and then break structure to the downside right at this candle. And I could have entered at this low honestly, but I didn't. I waited a bit because most of the time when you do break a structure to any kind of time frame, you get a somewhat of a retracement to the opposite direction of the break of structure. So right over here you can see that we broke a structure and we could have continued lower, but I waited a bit and then we kind of retraced a little bit up. But honestly today was kind of weird. Technically you might not always get a retracement, but in this case I was a little bit patient and maybe a little bit of luck was on my side. So I entered at this high of this candle right over here, and then from that I had my stop loss at this high because this was the previous high for the discount, and then I mean I could have technically had it here, but I just wanted to put it at this higher just to be uh, safe, I guess. But then that was pretty much the trade. We ended up coming or being in drawdown legit right when we entered, and we almost got stopped out. We were like at the halfway point, and then we just came back down again. I think it was just because of this bearish fair value gap again. We ended up coming back into it, and then we reject off it again finally. So then our first TP was actually at this level, right over here. Initially, it was supposed to be, but just looking at the charts, you could see that we were just going up and down so many times, and this took like what? Uh, this would have taken like 2 hours. So I ended up being on the charts for 2 hours. So technically, if I just set it and left, I would have hit my TP, but I did not. So I think I got more emotions when I was watching the trade. Therefore, I ended up taking partials at this fair value gap right over here, the 4 hour fair value gap. But other than that, yeah, you could see this was just a really long trade. And then initially we almost hit our TP at this point right over here, and then we just retraced all the way up here. So at this point, I got scared, and I was like, oh my god, if we come back to break even, I'll low-key be kind of mad. So I ended up waiting again, and then we come back to this area again, and I take profit here, and then I end up closing above again, like the whole trade, like I think it was around here, and then after that we just plummet all the way down again. So ended up making $770 off this trade, which I could have made more. I think if I did have my TP, or if I just left it at the initial TP, it would have been 1,200, which over here is a 1 to 3 basically, but I did de-risk a little, so my position or my risk was not at exactly at 1%. I think it was either at 1.8%. So yeah, but overall it was a decent trade, and we still have a couple more days left as for the trade, but or as for trading, but we'll see depending on what price gives us. And I think on Thursday we have a lot of high impact news, which I'm probably not going to be trading, so we only have Friday. But other than that, yeah.